Welcome to episode 10 of the ISPC Tailboard Talks. I'm your host, Mark, along with my co-host, Jerry. How you doing today, Jerry?
I'm great, man. Good to be here for the 10th episode. That's kind of a milestone for us, right?
Yeah, number 10. It seems like it's been longer, but
Well, not for me. I missed a few of them,
well, yeah, you were AOL for a couple of them, but
yeah.
no, it's cool to be at number 10 and hopefully getting some traction here. And
Milestone episode. Milestone as far as a new sponsor goes. We've got a new sponsor
yep,
this week for this episode, and a returning superstar guest. So I'm
yeah.
excited to get on that. But let's talk about our sponsor real quick. This podcast episode is brought to you by Gritty Tools, eliminating workplace injuries one tool at a time. Now, I know these guys personally. Gritty Tools is a veteran-owned, USA-made company that is proud to serve the utility industry. The Gritty Tools owners and partners have an extensive background when it comes to the electric utility industry. The proper use of the tools are going to help eliminate workplace injuries due to manual pulling of cable as well as lifting various types of control equipment. Their pullers and lifters, phenomenal products. I've seen them. Yeah, if you want to see them in person or you want a demo or just to find out more about them, give them a call, 1-866-4-GRITTY, 1-866, the number 4-GRITTY, GRITTY, or if you don't have an old school phone, it's 447-4889. GrittyTools.com. Check them out.
All right, cool. Thanks, Jerry. Today, the title of our podcast, So You Want to Be a Line Worker. So we're going to dive in today a little bit about what it takes to become that line worker. And as Jerry mentioned, we kind of have a special guest again today, a returning guest, Mr. Curtis Bradley, who is the Vice President of Safety, Quality, and Training for the Desoto Group. He's also founder of Premier Lineman Consulting and the author of a book called Selected to Lead, A Foreman's Guide to Success, and, drum roll, his latest offering of a new book called Welcome to Linework, an Apprentice's Action Guide. And so today we're going to discuss what it takes to be that valued apprentice, right? Obviously, there's a difference between just being there and being a valued member of the team. And apprentices are absolutely a valued member of the team. They can offer a lot. They can bring a lot to the table. So we're going to get into that today with Curtis. And if you're out there listening and considering maybe becoming a line worker, maybe we'll sway you one way or another today. We may help you make that decision to jump in, or we may help you make that decision to run the other way. So we'll see how it goes.
This industry is not for everybody.
It is not for everybody. It's a lot of sacrifice. You know, I've always said when everybody else is hunkering down and running away from the storms, we're running into them. If you don't like working in nasty weather and long hours and late nights, I think our discussions will tell you, man, maybe it isn't for you. So welcome, Curtis. How you doing, man? Great to have you back.
How you doing, Mark, Jerry? How y'all doing? I'm so grateful and appreciative to have another opportunity to be on a podcast. Excited about this book. Excited about conversations that we're gonna have, and being able to hopefully empower some of these young folks out here that's thinking about line work to possibly get into the industry and make a life change, right? Positive difference, not only at home but in the communities that they're gonna serve.
Yeah. No, awesome.
One thing that I don't think that people realize is that the apprentice, that first year apprentice, that groundman, that new guy, is the first line of safety because they're the ones on the ground.
Yeah.
At least to me, they're the ones that have to be looking out, not only looking and learning, but looking and keeping an eye out, for what to look for and really on there. That's just my opinion of it. I think that a lot of the young guys, the first year guys, I've been the young guy on the team. I know how it works as far as it rolls downhill. We get you get a lot of flack, but you're right there, man. You're in the thick of it. If you're thinking about becoming an apprentice, you have a very, very, very important job as an apprentice. Just saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you on that. And it's a very vulnerable position. It's a very stressful position, but then also too, it's a very gratifying type position because you're going through ups and downs. You're getting tested every day. You're learning every day, and you have people that you're responsible for, but then also other people that's looking out for you. So it's literally one of the foundations. We talk about line workers all the time, linemen, journeymen. We talk about foremen all the time. We talk about GLs. So I just thought it was important to put a little attention on the small guys.
Yeah, and it a lot of times those small guys or new guys or young people that come into our industry have a totally different perspective of what's going on out there that the experienced or veteran worker sometimes overlooks just because they're used to the environment, they're used to the tools, the equipment, and all that type of stuff. So before we get
Yeah.
too far down this discussion, I do want to give Curtis an opportunity again. For those of you that may not have heard Curtis speak before or listened to the last podcast where we had him as a guest, but just give us a little of your background again, Curtis. Tell everybody at some point in your career you jumped into
Yeah.
this profession, right? Just like I did and all of us did. So, give us a little look into what that looked like to get you to where you are today.
I got you. Well, so kind of give you a snapshot, not take up too much time. So, I was not looking for the power company. I didn't know anything except for that's where mom went and paid her, our light bill to keep the lights on. So I was just very fortunate to have an instructor at a community college because I was taking a trade to say, hey, one day, if you really got serious, you make the power company a great employee. Never thought about it. I took advantage of what he told me, and I started doing a lot of research. Finally got an opportunity to get on at 21. Like I mentioned before, August 29th, 2005, Katrina hit that day, and I come in basically off the street. So I never went through a pre-apprenticeship program. All of my training come from Mississippi Power Southern Company. And I tell you what, that was one of the best trainings to help me get to where I'm at now. So, got on as overhead underground apprentice. We did everything from cap banks to regulators to hot work, from three-phase underground systems to CT meters to everything. So I stayed out there 10 and a half years, made journey. Then I wanted to learn a different side of the fence. So I went and started back over my apprenticeship as a substation electrician, apprentice substation electrician. So did a lot of switching from 46 to 230, substation switching, dealing with regulators, CCVTs, PTs, battery banks, whole 9 yards. So it really gave me a great opportunity to see like those two sides of the industry. And like I mentioned before, after about 13 and a half, 14 years at the power company, good Lord touched my heart. I wanted to start teaching. Didn't know what community college had an opening for a line instructor. Never built a line school before. Never had any experience building a line school, but I stepped out on faith, took the job. They took a chance on me. I built the line school. Now it's a weekend program. Since then, since 5 years ago, I've built two others for local community colleges, set up numerous amounts of trainings across the contractor side of the business, dealing with DOL and apprenticeships, things of that nature. Writing books. My current role as a VP, it's just due to hard work, having goals set in place, remaining humble, and just believing in yourself even when others don't.
Well, I appreciate your willingness to give back because I think that is one thing that is so important in our industry. When I was coming up through the trade as an apprentice and, on into journeyman and supervisor and trainer and so on, one of the things that I always struggled with was the veterans or the experienced journeymen, leaders, those type of folks that are not willing to give back to the younger generation and the incoming apprentices and so on for fear of losing their job, thinking that person's going to take their job, make them look bad, maybe a combination of all the above. That willingness to share and give back is the way our industry is going to survive and get better and get to a better place where we're not hurting people and we're keeping people safe and so on. Appreciate your willingness to to do that.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. Thank you. It's something I love to do. See, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. And so I am just kind of in my grind and very clear understanding of what the assignment is. And so, not trying to get too spiritual, but, we all got a purpose, man.
Hmm.
And it's kind of sad that non-breathing, non-thinking, non-feeling objects are more purpose-driven than we are. And so, like I tell my students all the time, everything has a purpose. A door, a windshield wiper, a rug, a chair, you name it, it has a purpose. But if you ask the individual what their purpose is, 9 times out of 10, they'll tell you they don't know.
But that's a big thing, though, Curtis. That's a big thing about what you bring and what you
Yeah.
the reason you do what you do. So, and you and I have had long conversations. We've known each other for a while. The thing that I like about you is that, and that's what
Yeah.
apprenticeships are about. Essentially, is teaching someone to be better than they were either in a job and or in life. We can take our lessons that we've learned, and
Hmm.
as we should. Like you said, Mark, it's I don't know why people wouldn't want to teach, these young people, but you take the lessons that you learned in life and want to make everybody better coming behind us. Some of us take that a little more to heart than others, and Curtis, you're one of those. And your books have been phenomenal, by the way, or at least the one that I've had the chance to read. I haven't had a chance to read this next one, but I just want to say that to make a well-rounded apprentice or to make a well-rounded employee in the trades, it's not just about the task that you're teaching. It's about everything else around that person and around that task. So you going out there and teaching them, being a father to some of these kids that have never had that influence in their life, and teaching them not just the trade or what the tasks, not just be gainfully employed.
Absolutely agreed. We get focused on climbing up and down the pole really fast, which is nothing wrong with that, or some other type of skill that show our physical uh, status. But sometimes we overlook the simple pieces about arriving to work on time and having a good attitude and being able to listen and understanding the importance of feedback and how this is going to affect your personal life. Especially when you commit to that IOU, it's 24/7, 365. And we all know, even though you work at home, still means you're always gone. So, those common things that make up line work, where if you're not equipped with it and nobody has never told you nothing about it, man, it's like jumping in a ice bath, right? You think it's one thing because you've gotten all the hype, but nobody has really told you what it takes to really get out here and to be a really good, outstanding apprentice, which is 100% your foundation, right? And getting into journey work, getting to that foreman position, general foreman position, superintendent, so forth and so on. It's literally the foundation of your career, and we got to take it serious.
Yeah, and the other thing is the
Hmm.
instructors, supervisors, co-workers that touch these apprentices for the first, let's say, 6 to 18 months of their career, it is crucial that they are handling them the proper way, showing them the proper way, showing them what's right, what's not right, helping them understand what they're getting themselves into, the strains that it can put on your home life. You touched on it, Curtis. Some folks, or I guess you could say, spouses and such of people that enter this line of work just don't understand the commitment it takes. When the lights go out, we signed up to respond, not run the other way or, oh, I can't tonight. I don't, and so it's so very important to build that foundation and get those individuals off on the right foot and to build that career success. So,
So you're saying communication is key.
well, that is key. And so before we get into that, though, I want to touch on one thing, Jerry. Curtis, what inspired the book? So you touched on, you said a couple words there in your intro about it, but really, what what's the inspiration for the second book? We've talked about the first one already, and again, I think
So what the inspiration behind the book was, I have a first glance, right? A first glance. I am in the trenches on the weekends with these guys and seeing them being able to develop from not knowing anything, not having any type of skills, and to getting them jobs and getting them placed. Have great relationships with employers. The things in this book I talk to my students about on the weekend class. And so I would talk to employers. I would get feedback from the guys that I've put through the class, and it's like, yeah, I had a buddy that just went through. Man, he got fired. Man, why did he get fired? Well, because he would never show up he would never show up on time, right? Man, this guy's always getting fussed at because he wants to just stand around and hold a shovel and compared to trying to be the first one in the hole, right? Or uh, you know we've been working all day and somebody said something to him, and when the heat goes up, attitudes and temperature goes up as well, and man, that guy just broke down and just lost it, right? Or man, that guy was with the wrong guy and he was telling him to run the equipment really hard, and he tore it up, and so now he's terminated. So I started just kind of listening, right, at like my students, and I said, you know what? There's something there because now I'm having supervisors and foremen and general foremen call and say, hey, man, we really like your guys. And we like them because when we say 7 o'clock, they're there at 6:30, right? We don't have to tell them to keep water and Gatorade in the cooler. We don't have to tell them to keep the trucks clean. We ain't got to tell them like to be paying attention when they're on the ground. We don't have to tell them that to get out here and be respectful and put in a hard day's work and all that kind of stuff. Those pieces are highly critical because now, we don't have to waste all of this money because we got guys who actually get it, right? And so, again, not downplaying the climbing piece is important. The specifications are important. Understanding how to use postal diggers and shovel and operating the line truck and the dead man controls on the bucket truck are important. But you also have to be a person who can take feedback, who can listen, who can understand, who has good character, good integrity. And one of the biggest things that I tell my guys is to remain humble. And if you can do those things, you'll rise to the top. Cream always rises to the top. And so that's what inspired the book.
no, that's great. Jerry already touched on one. There's a couple things that you kind of highlight in the book here. Building solid work ethic, teamwork skills, communication, and then we'll get into the other one, physical fitness and well-being. But in I would say for a small percentage, you can work with somebody to build work ethic, right? If you get them with the right people and get them with people that'll lead by example and take them under their wing and so on, I believe that you can, in somebody that is humble and wants to learn and wants to succeed in a career, you can build that work ethic if they come to you and don't already have it. But I think it's very important, and I think in today's world it's missing more than ever, is that work ethic being formed at an early age where people are coming to you, younger people, apprentices, and so on, that already have that work ethic developed, right? You don't have to tell them to, hey, if you see me struggling, they just hop in there and help you, right? You don't have to say, how long are you going to stand there and watch me struggle before you give me a hand? And in this discussion, I obviously don't want you to give away all your secrets in your book. We want people to go buy your book and read it. So
Uh-huh.
don't give everything away, but
Yeah.
what are some of your keys? I guess one that you look for in people that may tell you, hey, I think this person has a good work ethic and works well in the team environment. And then on the flip side, if that individual doesn't possess those skills already, what's maybe a key or two to getting them going in that direction where they become a good team player and so on?
Mark, you got a great question, and I'm excited to answer that. So one of the small segments in the book is something that I come up with called want plus work ethic equals results. Okay, I'm gonna say it again. Want plus work ethic equals results. And the reason I come up with this is because, just to your point, dealing with younger generation or older generation, want is the common denominator, right, to accomplishment.
Hmm.
Want. You got to have a want. Now, with that, if we started looking at the family dynamics of things, you got one or two people. You got people who have stuff and been blessed with stuff, and you got people who don't. Okay?
Hmm.
That's just what it is. I was one of the ones that didn't have anything, right? Mama did the best she could with what she had. And so if I wanted a new pair of shoes or if I, needed whatever, I wanted it. So therefore, I had to work at it, right? And with that, if I wanted it, and then I went and cut 2 or 3 yards, therefore the results were I had enough money to go buy me a pair of shoes or help pay the water bill or keep the lights on, put some groceries in the house, whatever I needed to do at that time as a young man to help my mama out, right?
Hmm.
Now, that's one scope on a family dynamic, depending on your circumstance and what the environment that you're raised in. If you don't have much, pretty much the driving force is to want, so therefore you got to work and get it. And we can all the older generations, I guarantee you, we can have those conversations how if they wanted a vehicle, their mom and dad made them go buy a vehicle, or if they need to pay their insurance or school clothes or whatever, your daddy told you to go and hey, you better go get the milk jug and fill it up full of gas and start mowing yards, right? That was such a critical piece in the development of work ethic, right? Because you
Hmm.
wanted something, so then that's where you got to go to work.
Yep.
So you look at any type of society, you look at any type of community or whatever, when you take that want factor out, what do you have? Right? You ain't got to answer it out loud, but look, you know what you got, right?
Hmm.
So when you have somebody who does not have a mission or a drive or a
Hmm.
want, it's very hard to spark that work ethic. And so this is what I deal with, right? So I got young men that have a background, and their want is, Mr. Bradley, I'm tired of eating ramen noodles every night, right? I'm tired of sleeping on the couch. I don't have no problems with those guys, cause why? Cause they want it. I ain't got to beg them.
They got
They
the
might
want.
not have the work ethic piece, but they
They
got
got
that
the want.
drive. And if I show them what to do, and they start seeing results, I can stand away.
Hmm.
That's what you call a runaway train. You just put
Yep.
them on track, they have at it.
A little bit tougher.
Now, if I get these individuals that don't have a want, it's very hard to spark. It's a lot harder to spark work ethic, right? Because they just don't. They just don't want anything, right? It's
Hmm.
nothing to influence them. It's nothing to motivate them.
Yep.
They have a safe place where if they didn't want to do it, they can just go back to it, or they just always had it their way. And so I think it's just very critical for us and for these apprentices to know no matter what background you come from, you
Hmm.
got to want this for yourself. You got to want this. This ain't play. This ain't pushing buggies in the parking lot. This ain't picking up trash on the side of the road. This is a field that you could literally lose your life. And
Yep.
we got to have people who want to follow the safety rule book, who want to know the right steps and procedures to get out here and sit in a pole and do all these type of things. It takes a lot of drive to do that. So we got to have individuals who want to be able to serve the community, right? And understand the full scope of everything that we're trying to do out here in the power line industry and other industries surrounding. So hopefully to answer your question, the want plus the work ethic piece is highly important. How do I kind of cipher through the people who want or don't want? I think they eliminate themselves, Mark,
Yeah.
because when you have the training in place and you have the competencies in place to do certain things and they don't want to do it, it's just really obvious. A lot of people skate by because it's no substance to the training that they're going through. And not to try to get off on a kick, but you know, we cannot develop training, or we should not be developed training where we're just trying to meet a quota and just pass people because, we just need to pass them and, to keep the numbers up. And so I
Hmm.
don't run that type of program. You have to earn it. When you have skin in the game and somebody has given you something, you don't really appreciate it compared to if you earned it. You have a lot more appreciation to it or for it. So want plus work ethics equals results, and so that's the name of that little chapter, that little segment, and that's what I'm trying to explain to these apprentices who get a hold of this book. Like, you gotta have a want. And to close that piece up, I would say it's a general question that we all could answer when we was young men, right? And it's the question of, and y'all already know the answer, so I'm gonna ask y'all to blurt it out, okay? Do you want to be the best, Mark and Jerry?
Yeah, obviously.
Absolutely.
Okay, that ain't the answer no more.
Really.
Yeah.
That ain't the answer.
Mm-mm.
That ain't the answer no more. The answer is, well, what does that come with, or why do I want to be the best? Okay, and so for me, I'm trying to create that spark of competitive drive within that person to say, you want to be the best. When you get out there on the crew, you should want to be the best apprentice, not just on the crew, right? But in the division. That's
Yeah.
what you should want. And if that is not your desire, right,
Hmm.
you might should want to think about maybe something else. But everybody should have the want to be the best. Like this podcast, y'all should want, and I know you do. You want it to be number one. You ain't got to
Yeah.
tell me, but that's the objective. It's no sense of getting into anything to say I'm 50th out of 60.
Right.
That ain't how I roll, man. I'm sorry,
No.
I don't get
No.
down like that.
I was going to say I was taught from a fairly young age. Our generation was brought up that if you're going to do something, give it 110%, right? Or you might as well not do it. And so if I do something like you said, with the podcast here, with anything I
Mhm.
do, with the sub program I'm developing, or if I develop training to
Mhm.
go to a customer's facility, or whatever the case may be, I want it to be the best training or curriculum that that individual has ever had, and to walk away from it and say, man, that was freaking awesome. If I ever get to go to training given by him again, I'm going. You're exactly right, Curtis. I think we've just gotten away from that mentality in society, right? It's now, don't get me wrong. There's part of the population out there, sports and athletes and some of those things, some of those, careers that if you don't have that type of drive, you're obviously not going to be successful, right? But I think in the utility
Mhm.
industry, our drive is not to be the best you can be to win. It's being the best you can be to go home every night to your family and survive, right? If you're not being the best you can be, 9 chances out of 10, you're going to hurt
Hmm.
somebody, maybe hurt yourself, damage equipment, God forbid, kill somebody. So I think in our industry, the 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 drive to be the best is you got to be on your game and at the top of it every single minute you're working in this industry, or the chances are something's bad at some point in your career is going
My
to happen to you.
my dad used to have a saying, "Hunger is the best sauce. Unless you're hungry for it, you ain't
Mhm.
gonna want it." You know.
Spot on.
So
Spot on,
it's
bro. That's it. I like that. I'm gonna keep that one, Jerry.
keep it, man. Use it.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So communication, right? And there's tons of different forms of communication, expressing to somebody what you want them to do, those types of things, right? But I think I want to look at this from a little different perspective, when it comes to communication. And one, communicating for understanding, right? There's a difference between just you and I talking back and forth, and you and I communicating to make sure that we understand each other, and know exactly what the other is trying to say. And then the other piece of communication that I think is so vital in our industry is the piece of not being afraid to communicate, right? If you see something that you maybe feel isn't quite right, not being afraid. And this is tough as an apprentice, right? You're new to the crew, you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, you don't want to step on anybody's toes. A lot of crews, unfortunately, the mentality is you're the new guy. I don't even want to hear you talk. Just do what you're told and move on. And I think that's starting to go away, but I can assure you it's still out there. But I guess maybe give a little feedback around those two things and communicating for understanding and then not being afraid to speak up if
Yes, my
something
friend.
isn't going
So
right.
when I was apprentice, right, yeah, I was so hungry for knowledge that I listened to everybody, right? And then the driver was, I drove a prayer truck. I had to pray for it to crank. I had to pray that the windshield wipers worked. I had to pray that the radio worked. I had to pray that it didn't run hot. I had to pray that the tires didn't pop. I had to pray it didn't stall at a stoplight. It was a prayer vehicle. You know what I'm saying? So I had a lot of motivation, man. I didn't have to have nobody to charge me up. So when you're in that critical role as an apprentice, and I want you to kind of look at my eyes, just a glance, right? You got two types of communication. When you're getting communication from that lead lineman, when you're getting communication from that journeyman, because they're telling you what to do, right? If they tell you to go and get a lineman wrench or get a crescent, that's what you go do, right? You get dropped off day one, you somewhat have a little bit of a sense just what's going on, but again, you getting dropped in the ice bath.
Right.
Where I struggled at or
Yep.
struggle with is when the leaders, the guys that was over me didn't communicate well. Vague communication, right? Hey, cuz, go over there and get that wrench out the tube bin, right? How many wrenches that we got over there? You see what I'm saying? You want a 9/16? You want a box in? You want a this? You want a that? What kind of wrench, right? Or then you had the instructor that or the I say instructor, or you had the guy, the foreman that say, hey man, over there on the driver's side, second bin at the top right, you'll see, a little monkey wrench over there is what we call them with blue tape on it, 9/16 on one
Hmm.
end, half inch on the other side. Hey, bring that over here to me real quick for me, big guy. Right? Effective communication. Right? When you get up there in the bucket or you operating the line truck, hey man, get up there and operate that line truck and come over here. We're gonna set this pole. Right? Or, hey man, have you ever run a line truck before? Yeah, I know you probably run one in line school. Well, that was an Altec. This one is a T-Rex. It's a pistol grip compared to the piano keys, right? Come over here, man. Let's do a little run through real quick, and let me show you. I know you got the concept of it, but let's talk about it real quick, all right? And so, we got a gas line here. We're gonna get you to move it out here, kick it out. Everything, right, comes down to communication, and the success of that apprentice comes down to good communication from leadership, right? Are you giving vague guidance, right? Or are you giving details like a switching order? Because when that person is coming in, the majority of us know this to be as a fact. When you get dropped off day one, day two, week two, or whatever, and you got a detailed job going on in the job safety briefing, and they asked everybody at the end, everybody know what's going on? What you gonna do? You gonna do the bobblehead. And you gonna say, yeah, 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 I know what's going on. And you ain't got no idea on what's going on. They might be daggum cutting in a switch, or they might be rolling the phases from vertical to horizontal, whatever. You don't have no idea. You're just trying to fake it till you
Hmm.
make it, right? But if you got somebody there as a good leader like I have, and I give him a
Yep.
shout out, Mr. David Bramlett, who was my lead lineman, who taught me a majority of everything that I know, he took the time to explain to me
Yep.
what I needed to know. Now, with that, Mark and Jerry, y'all know as well, it's one thing that you have a person who is communicating very well,
Hmm.
but another thing is you have somebody who's communicating really well and they want that knowledge, right? Do I have to tell that person 2 times or do I have to tell him 10 times? Because if I got to tell him 10 times, It's a disconnect because I know I'm explaining my tail off to him, and he ain't understanding what in the world going on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it goes both
Mm-hmm.
ways. You got to be a student of the game. You got to be able to understand, and you got to be able to communicate. And like I stress to my guys, you got to be able to follow directions. If they tell you
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, that don't mean you do 3, 2, 1, 4, right? It's a reason why he wants you to do it that way. And when you get time in the game, when you pay
Mm-hmm.
your dues, right? 10, 15, 20 years from now, you can kind of change the model and do it however you want to do it. But for right now, I see guys, they get, excuse my language, a little pissy because they say, well, man, I got a better way to do it and I want to do this. No, it's a reason because you're still in teaching mode. You're still in learning mode. Okay? So to get that muscle memory and mental memory down, we need you to do 1, 2, 3, 4. And apprentices, they struggle with that because they don't understand that general concept of it. So
Mm-hmm.
step-by-step instruction is 100% critical. It's unfortunate though when you have some guys, Mark and Jerry, that are just
Mm-hmm.
not good communicators. I'm just sorry, man. We got guys out there in the field that can get the lights on. They know procedures, they know safety rule book, but when it comes to trying to tell or explain what they're doing, they struggle with
Yep.
it, right? And so if you're an apprentice with somebody who genuinely struggles with communication or he or she does not care, right? Then it's really going to set you back as an apprentice. All right. So then you got to kind of go into plan B
Yeah.
and a plan C, and that's going to be your observation skills, and then just trying to get around the good people where you can try to get that information and document as much as possible so you can keep yourself and others safe. So hopefully that's the first part of your question. Second part is stop work authority, right? And when you hear that, and when I hear that, again, it comes down to the culture. I've been talking a lot, Mark and Jerry, about culture, and we talk about it, but we really don't talk about it. And so I kind of break it down in a little bit deeper concept, right? So you got your family culture. We're just gonna break it out in two eggs. You got a good family culture and a bad family culture, right? Good family culture. They got money. It's Leave It to Beaver type thing or the Brady Bunch. Don't Probably the younger generation ain't gonna know what all that is. Family matters, whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? So you got that.
Yep.
Bad side. You see all the bad in the world. It may be some abuse, drugs, alcohol. Maybe robbing Peter to pay Paul. You don't have two quarters to rub together, right? Good and bad. Do we ever think about in the industry you got a good culture and a bad culture,
Yep.
right? I was blessed. I was blessed, Mark, when I got on with Southern Company to get into a good culture who valued safety and training. How many young brothers and sisters do we get who go into a bad work culture and they sit there in that bad work culture for 2 or 3 years, and then when they get out of it, because that's all they know. Right? All you know is if you come up in the jungle and that's all you know is the jungle, man, that's you're gonna struggle when you go to the city. You can ask Crocodile Dundee about that. I throw another one out there for him, Jerry. They probably don't know nothing about Crocodile Dundee, but that's okay. We're gonna get them educated this go round. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna be, as they say, a fish out of water. So tying it back to stop work authority.
Yep.
You're a young guy out there. You somewhat know what's going on, somewhat
Yep.
don't know what's going on. Your confidence to be able to use stop work authority is going to be based on
Mm-hmm.
your crew. 100%. They're going to give you the confidence to activate it or not activate it.
Yep.
If you try, and all of them are going to try to do it once. See, first impression is everything, right?
Yep.
That's what my mama used
Mm-hmm.
to tell me.
Yep.
Tell me. So I'm gonna say something the first time. I'm gonna holler up there, Mark. I'm gonna be real nervous. I'm
Yeah.
gonna say, Mark, Curtis, you saying something to me? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, hey, man, you might wanna watch that secondary, man. It's a little bit close to your elbow. Hey, Curtis, man, that was man. Hey, cuz, I appreciate that, man. I mean, I'm gonna throw a little extra tape on it, but I appreciate you actually saying something. You did a good job there, cuz. I'm proud of you. I hear your voice trembling, but I'm proud of you, man. You looking. That's what we need to do. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Second version of Mark. Hey, Mark. Hey, man. hey,
Yep.
because your elbow's a little close to that exposed secondary, you turn around and give me a deep, dark look, and then you say some choice words that come out of your mouth, right?
Yep.
So then what does that just do to me?
You're done.
You ain't never gonna say
You're
nothing
never gonna
again.
say
I ain't gonna
nothing.
say nothing again,
Yep.
right? Or what about the situation where we're in a tailboard session, right? We're in a tailboard session. Everybody understand what we need to do today? Gosh, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna say something. Mark, I, I don't really know what you need me to do. Did we say we're gonna get on the line truck today or whatever? Critical point again. If you get out there and say, "Oh man, it's okay. We're gonna run through it one more time. Look, this is what we're gonna do. Blah 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 blah." Okay, man. Hey man, I appreciate you saying something,
Hmm.
right? Second phase of that, if Mark and Jerry get out there and they start roasting me down to the ground, making me feel like a daggone idiot, guarantee you I ain't gonna say nothing else
Nope.
again. All right. So I say that to say the culture of the company and the influence of the crew dictates the success. Part of the thing that dictates the success of the apprentice.
Yep.
Now the apprentice gotta want it now. So I'm not taking it away from them. But if that company encourages the apprentices to speak up, encourages apprentices to have a voice, encourages understanding and good communication, it's no reason why you shouldn't have a apprentice group full of rock stars because you're giving them everything you need to be successful. Now, if they don't do nothing with it, it's on them.
Yep.
So that's what I've been exposed to,
Yeah.
and that's what I've seen.
And for the apprentices listening, you have to be okay with saying goodbye to some place that is not providing you with a good work environment or a good culture or an area to grow. And you have to be willing to acknowledge that and say, look, man, this is not the place for me. You know, I'm not, I don't know a lot, but I know what my safety is worth and what my life is worth. It's okay for me to go, I think I'm done on this one. Um,
Hmm.
Yep.
so, and employers, if you have that happening more than, more than once or twice, then you've got a problem with your culture.
Culture is big.
That'll kind of take us into the last thing I want to talk about. Where there's a little more I wanted to talk about, but I don't think we're going to get to all of it today. That just means I have to bring you back again, Curtis. So,
All right,
so
that'll work.
one of the things, physical fitness, right? And most people think of how good a shape I'm in, those types of things. And while that's important, right? Physical fitness is important, but also mental fitness or personal well-being, whatever you want to refer to it as. But obviously our industry, we call it in the tools, right? You're out there doing the work, performing the job. There's got to be some sense of physical fitness. You got to be fairly decent shape. Bucket trucks have weight limits, those type of things. But I think just as important is that personal well being or mental fitness. And again, I think that goes back into what you were just talking about with culture. I mean, hey, let's face it, you can be as good as you can be at your job and well disciplined, well trained, excellent worker. But if something goes on at home or wherever that takes your mind out of the game, you're going down a very slippery slope that can very quickly get you or somebody else in trouble. So, just touch a little on the importance of probably more the mental side of things than the physical, but you can touch on both if you want.
Well, I appreciate it. So I stress a lot in my teaching. I got to get my guys prepared mentally, physically, and spiritually.
Hmm.
I stress that to them all the time. You got to be mentally, physically, and spiritually, right, equipped to do this type of work. And I think I'll be able to give a couple of examples to kind of tie all that in together. All right, mental, physical, and spiritual. We get out there, we get to work, and Mark. It's thunder bumper season, big guy. It's right now. It's hot. It's 98. We chap, soaked all the way down.
Hmm.
Gold bond ain't doing nothing. We worked all night last night. We come in at 8 o'clock. We think we're gonna get off a little early, but then we had a bad transformer, right? So we worked to about 5:30. We're getting ready to get in the vehicle. And this one phrase, I've seen this one phrase affect so many men in this industry, right? This one phrase that I'm fixing to say right now. And foreman comes up to you, or the general foreman comes up to you and say, "Hey, cuz, I know y'all fixing to leave, but we got one
Yep.
more. One more will make a man cry,
Mm-hmm.
right? It will make a man lose it. Just saying, hey, we got one more pole, we got one more transformer, we got one more service. When you are physically beat down, when you are mentally beat down, right, and spiritually, right, is going to be your foundation to pull yourself together,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
The closest I ever got to the good Lord above is asking for strength. Right, Lord, please give me enough strength
Yep.
to make it through because I am just wore out. My joints hurt. You go off on a storm. I'm sleeping in the truck. I'm sleeping in a cot. I'm eating food that don't taste good.
Yep.
I need strength. I need a word that keep me sane, right? So I can live to fight another day.
Yep.
And so of course, you got to be physically fit, right? You don't have to, do a triathlon or anything like that, but you got to be in shape, right? It's going to take you only so far.
Yep.
The mental piece is when you get out there, Mark, Jerry. The mental piece is your troubleshooting.
Mm-hmm.
You can be as fit as you, man. You can run 6, 7 miles. But if you get out there with a troubleshooter or something like that, and you got to use that thing between your ears, man, that's a lot of stress,
Yeah.
right? And so go to one layer deeper, for us that come up on pop tools, Mark, how many guys you've seen get up there and cuss out trying to squeeze on in their hooks, right? And they get to
Yep.
cussing out, trying to shape wire, or they trying to get something in a KR3 or KR5, and something's and it's not acting right, and or get up there trying to operate the hoist, and they've been working all day and the hoist ain't want to release just right, or they're trying to use the chain hoist and the grip won't just do this. And there's nothing wrong with the grip, but we blame it on the grip. We call it a
Mm-hmm.
piece of crap, and they say as soon as that piece of what comes down, throw it in the daggone bin,
Yep.
and we're getting rid of that. So I told you to get it off the truck. It ain't nothing wrong with the daggone chain hoist or the web hoist. It's us because we're physically exhausted and we're mentally exhausted, and our attitude starts to change because our body and our mind is changing. So
Yep.
the spiritual piece brings it back all together, and that's why we got to do what they call say a couple of little prayers, tell somebody it's going to be all right, be a good person, try to let them know, hey, we get through with this one, we're going to go to the house because it all plays into us getting home safely at the end of each day. So you can be mentally fit, but still be weak spiritually and physically. You can be spiritually fit and still be weak in the physical aspect and the mental aspect of it. Right?
Yep.
You
Yep.
get out there praising the Lord all day long because at the end of the day you got to climb that pole, and
Yep.
you're gonna be sitting up there in your hooks for about 2 or 3 hours. So you got to have that piece. You got to have the mental piece to think, be able to. Nothing worse when I've seen guys fail, Mark and Jerry, is they'll run up the pole really quickly, but they don't know what the first daggum thing to do, right? And you
Yep.
explain it to them on the ground, and it's like, how many times have we heard this statement right here, fellas? Cause if you're gonna work yourself to death if you don't listen at me.
Mm-hmm.
Just do what I'm telling you to do. Just lay out. Just step into your belt. You're killing yourself, cuz. Just take 2 steps up and then just lay out. Take that right leg and take it out the pole and hook it behind so you can reach your grip. You're going to strain your back. You're going to strain your neck. And so that's how it all ties together for me, big guy.
Yep.
Physical, mental, spiritual. I try to work with these guys to let them know that you're going to need all three.
Yeah.
It don't matter whatever God you believe in, you're going to need it in line work. I don't care who he is because you're gonna run across some stuff where you worked all day long. I've seen the sun come up and go down and come back up again.
Yep.
It's really cool to say that because that sucks.
Oh yeah, for
I'm
sure.
telling you, it ain't nothing cute. It's cool to say when you at around the cooler and you're bragging, but when you going through it and you getting the juice worked out of you all day and all night, cause it ain't nothing cute about that.
Yep.
You
Start
know?
seeing
No.
things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you start seeing stuff, and I also too I kind of talk in the book in just a little bit, but I just try to let the guys know at the end of the day when the light goes out, when the lights go out, nobody cares. And I
Yeah.
know that's a harsh statement to say, but Walmart, and what I don't want to say any retail, but if a big retail goes out, they don't care about you working 24 hours.
Mm-mm.
Nope. They want their lights on.
Hospital goes out. Do you think they care? You've been working 2 days straight, 3 days straight. They don't give a crap. They want the
Yep.
lights on.
Yep.
Thanksgiving hit or Christmas or whatever the case may be. We are in so high demand right now, and it's not to run the microwave, and it's not to run the TV. It's for the internet.
Yep.
Internet goes out because we are just whew, we
Yep.
don't know how to act. So
Go to the
we got to
house.
keep the
Can't
we got to
work.
keep the light. Yeah, we got to keep the lights on. But I tell people now we got to keep the internet on too,
Hmm.
Yeah. No, I
because
couldn't
it's a
agree
lot
more.
dependent. It's a lot dependent on that stuff, man.
Couldn't agree more. Well, like I said, Curtis, there's a couple other things I wanted to get to that we'll just have to. I guess unfortunately we'll have to bring you back again. But
Darn.
um, I wanted I wanted to kind of just finish here. Whatever, 45 seconds, a minute, something like that. If you got that individual out there that's thinking, do I want to be a line worker or don't I want to be a line worker? What's your advice?
Um, Ask yourself: Do you want to work outside? Do you want to serve your community? And do you want to have a rewarding career? If you want those three things, being able to serve, have a career, and be able to work outside and be in the elements, I'm gonna tell you to highly consider going into line work. It changed my life. It changed a lot of people's lives. It has meaning to it. It has value to it, and it's one of the best one of the best career opportunities that I've ever been exposed to. It literally took me from eating viennas at night to steak and shrimp.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree
Absolutely.
more. It's definitely a rewarding career if you're willing to put in the work.
You
So
got to want it.
you gotta
I
want it,
want it.
man. You gotta want it. So, all right. Hey Jerry, how about giving a shout out to our sponsor one more time?
Speaking of wanting, you are going to want to look at these products. Curtis, you've lifted battery banks out, you said earlier, right?
Right?
They're not light, are they?
No, not at all.
Heavy. Wouldn't it have been cool if you'd have had something to help you lift it out? Gritty Tools has their what is it? The GT 770 and
Yep.
GT 330 lifters. They make moving out and changing out control equipment a breeze. Their pullers, self-contained. Man, the GT 750 and GT 1500 wire pullers, battery drill operated, require no electric to operate. They're portable, lightweight, and easy to get on any job site. We're almost out of time, so I'm not going to go through all of it, but I will tell you this: give them a call, 1-866 447-4889, or visit them online, grittytools.com. Check it out. I've seen this stuff in person. Very impressive, and it will definitely save your back. Gritty Tools, give them a call.
Cool.
Oh, and I have to close, right? The views and opinions shared in this podcast are the personal viewpoints of the participants and may not necessarily reflect the stance of the Institute for Safety and Powerline Construction and or its staff. It is highly advised to consult your company management before implementing any actions or policy changes that you heard about here. So once again, Curtis, thank you for hanging out with us, man. And darn it, we have to bring you back for a third.
Yeah.
Well,
Been a
that's fine,
pleasure,
gentlemen. I appreciate
Curtis.
it.
Please support our sponsors. For more episodes of the ISPC Tailboard Talks, subscribe in your favorite podcatcher. Be sure to leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, Mark,
Yeah, be safe.
Jerry, be safe. We'll catch you next time on ISPC Tailboard Talks.